So welcome back again. This is the third task. This is sort of like a challenge task. On the sheets I know it's called the second task, but you would have done a starter and the first task as well. So we're on to this. What we're going to do is we're going to be drawing a cityscape, or a city corner if you like. Once again, I'm going to start off with that center line. It doesn't always have to be in the center. It can be to the left or the right a little bit, but for the purposes of this video I'd like to actually just show you that in the center. I'm also going to just draw my lines again, so you're kind of almost always starting off with that diamond shape. Right, okay, we're going to have, I think in this you can be a bit more kind of creative. I'm going to put in a street. See if I can get that to cross the right place. Around about there. I'm going to get in a building, but I'm going to just draw it to this height. But I'm going to just get in a couple of parallel lines. I'm going to have a bit of a gap between that and the next building. Okay, and I'm going to do a taller building here on this side. I'm just going to do 3 buildings, I think, keep it easy. Alright, okay, because those lines can very quickly get very confusing. So I'm going to just draw my first building first. It's round about there. I'm going to just take off the snaps, and I'm just going to draw that over there. Touch that there. Okay, that's my first building done. I'm just going to clean that up. There we go. That's the first one done. And the second one's around about the same height, so I'm going to leave that as such. And this one's a bit taller on the left, so let's have a go at that. Okay, and this one on the left is going to be slightly more complicated because of the fact that it's taller than the other buildings. Just going to get rid of this line here. There we go. Now I'm trying to keep that horizon line in when I can, but the sides of these buildings I know is going to be in front of the horizon line, so I'm okay with leaving that in. I'm just cleaning up my street a little bit as well. Very important. Okay, and I can take that line out of there as well. Now this is starting to look like you've got 3 forms in front, and remember, all this is just a bunch of parallel lines and diagonal lines. So if you find that you're getting confused by having too many lines on the page already, what you need to do is just simplify it a bit. Maybe just start with 1 building and then bring it up to 2. Some of you might really challenge yourself and do lots and lots of different buildings and different shapes as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach this line to here, and I'm going to, I think I'm going to make this building here, I'm going to just add another parallel line here, so it's kind of, the back of it is sort of slightly in front of that building there. Okay, good. My last line that I'm going to add to here, to the corner of that building there, and I'm just going to get rid of that line there as well. And there you go, you've got 3 buildings. I'm going to get rid of these lines up here as well, which are sitting, looks like, on a square of some kind. Now if you want to make these even more realistic in terms of some of the lines that you've got kind of going across at the bottom, what you do here is you would actually draw a line going along to the very bottoms of to the sort of like the feet of the buildings, if you like. And this is, once again, I'm just trying to rub out these lines as I go along because they can be very confusing when they cross over. And I'd advise you to use very light pressure when you're drawing them, because it can very quickly get confusing. So there you go. Let's get rid of those lines as well. And now it looks like you've got those rectangular blocks there. So I started with, if you remember, I started with the main vertical line in the middle, a big sort of triangle that went around that, big sort of diamond that went around that, made up of 2 triangles, sorry. And then I started to draw in more vertical lines, and I determined the height of the buildings, or the boxes at the moment, and then what I did is I started to draw the diagonal lines across, and I worked my way from the top down. We could make these even more realistic by putting some windows in. I'm going to attempt to do that just on the front building, a couple of windows, and we'll see how we get along. So I'm going to start off once again by just drawing in some vertical lines. I'm just going to do a couple of windows. And why don't we do maybe a big window on this one, so it's kind of like a shop front. And we'll do a door here. Should probably do a door on all of them, really. Make them look a bit more realistic. Let's just bring that line down a bit more. This could have a door maybe on the side, so I'm going to just split that up there. There we go. You can already kind of see how these are going to take shape. That's what I like about this. It's sort of creating this magical illusion of 3-dimensionality. Alright, so I'm going to just be drawing these to the very points of that line, top and above, yeah. Starting at the top. Okay, I'm starting at the top. I'm going to just go across. We're going to have to extend that line a bit further, and this one as well. Okay, good. Let me just extend a couple of those lines a bit further. You may have to kind of go in with the ruler again and just extend a few lines. Alright, I'm going to go and start to rub out some lines because this is already getting confusing for me. So I'm just going to get rid of any of those intersecting lines, especially on the sides of the building. Now you can do windows on the sides of the buildings as well. Yeah. Let's get rid of those. Right, okay. A couple more lines I need to add. There, for example. And there as well. Okay. Get rid of all those lines that you don't need. Right. Okay, so there you have it. Very basic sort of 2-dimensional drawing of a sort of a very small city street, perhaps. You could add loads more buildings to the left and the right. You could go higher, you could go lower, you could even have a building behind. I'm just going to do a quick bit of rendering. And I think I'll use orange. Okay. Okay, alright. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Okay. Cancel that. Right. Okay. Okay. It's not liking some of the facts that some of these are not completely closed off shapes. So I'm just going to do them, color them in completely. A really interesting artist who used to work a lot with one-point perspective especially, but these are the kind of colours straight away remind me of, is Di Chirico. So he might be worth looking into as well, but a lot of the Renaissance artists as well would do a lot of stuff, like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and people like that would do really interesting things in 1-point and 2-point perspective, so they're worth looking into and checking out as well. if you're interested in a bit further research. Alright, hope you enjoyed that, hope it was helpful, and as I said before, if you've got any sort of questions, concerns, comments, put them up on Show My Homework and I'll do my very best to respond as quickly as I can.